This episode of Witchpolice Radio is brought to you by the second and final fundraiser for Manitoba Metal Fest 2018. The event takes place Friday, January 26th at the Park Theatre and features performances by Serrated Scalpel, Flashout, Exuvium, Inhumed, and Scythra. Also, just a heads up that about 10 to 15 minutes of this episode was lost during the recording process. We had an issue with one of the recorders, and a little bit of the conversation didn't make it onto tape, or whatever you call it now. Most of the conversation is still there. Just wanted to give you a heads up that there's a chunk missing, so if anything doesn't make sense, it's probably a reference to the part that got cut out.
You're listening to Garbage Hill, Winnipeg's first podcast network.
Welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm your regular host Sam, and I'm in a very elaborately painted house.
Yeah, welcome.
With the members of Quoth the Sun. So let's just start, because there's a lot of people in the room here, going around the table here, and everyone identify themselves and what instrument they play, and then people can put a name to the voice. So we'll start with you, and you've been on the show before, so maybe that's a good place to start.
I'm Holly, and I sing. Just gonna go ahead and say in advance that I'm sorry for the noises in the background. There's a dog in the house, and she's jealous that she's not getting all the attention right now, so she's making us super attention. So,
cool.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, I sing.
I'm Sam, I play bass guitar.
Cool.
I'm Dan, I play rhythm guitars.
Ryan and I play lead guitars.
I'm Brian, and I play the drums.
Cool. The band name, first of all. I mean, I'm assuming, because having the word Quoth in there, that it's a reference to something.
And I think a lot of people think that.
So, is it a reference? Like, what's the meaning behind the name?
I guess I'll take it. I came up with it in back in the day. I think before most of us were in it.
Okay.
And I like that archaic way of talking, like thee, thou, and quoth, and all that stuff. Yeah. And I took it as taking power and inspiration by something that's actually tangible and using it throughout your life, like humanity uses the sun.
Okay.
And that's, I found that kind of inspirational, so it's kind of where I got the name from.
So it's not referencing anything in particular?
Not really, no.
Cool. Okay. Well, I had to ask. I mean, it's an unusual name.
Sure. Yeah, we get that a lot.
Yeah, I bet, we've gone on to allow it to mean something further for ourselves as well, just sort of the impact of how the sun gives life, and and through the sun we give life onto one another, and it's like a spiritual connection too. So we want to kind of spread that around through the connection that we share as musicians and as a family too.
Okay.
Yeah. Positive vibes.
And okay, that's a good way to start. How does that? Like you mentioned, you've had questions about the name before and things. I don't want to dwell on the name too much, but
that's fine.
I mean, positive vibes, all this stuff. Maybe it doesn't necessarily mesh with what people would think when they hear the music, because typically heavier music is not that it can't be positive, but the impression people get upon hearing, is usually that. Is that kind of an issue ever? Or people wait a minute, but positive vibes? You guys are playing.
I've never encountered that.
Well, that's good.
I mean, heavy music in general, to me, it's poetic in a way. There's always hidden meanings in lyrics, and you can't take it at face value. That's for sure. But I don't know. I think a lot of people turn to heavy music for positive vibes. If we're going to be using that term.
Sure, it's a good term.
And
He's really questioned us.
I don't know. I can't. I listen to all kinds of music, but I can't find the same things in heavy music that you just don't find it in other realms,
right? Well, I guess it does the same thing that any other genre of music does for the people who are into that.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
And a lot of our lyrics too. I think we discussed it a little bit earlier because we've been running now as a group for about 5 years as a collective lineup that we have now. It's been approximately a year.
Okay.
And it's been great because we haven't really found a drummer to stick until our lovely, wonderful Brian came along, and and we abducted him.
Well, I guess that's maybe a good place to start as well, because when you were last on the show, it wasn't with this group; it was with Fawn Chopper.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of referred to this as your main band, right?
Yes.
So,
Thanks, Ollie.
how long is this? How long is this?
Main.
Yeah. How long has this been your main band? Like how long?
For 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah,
okay.
and it was actually Ryan that brought me into it. Actually, he headbutted me in a crowd of people.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the most bizarre meeting.
So I gained people's acquaintances.
Well, it would work, I guess. Yeah.
I don't even remember if I actually got your name. I think you found me on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Hey, you sing," and then
Yeah.
do you want
Emailed
to
you a
come try
headbutt.
out for my band? And then I ended up actually just like not even singing for a long time for a lot of the practices or a lot of the jams because I was really nervous. I'd never done heavy vocals before,
Right.
and I was like, I don't know if they're gonna like me. And I don't know if I can do this, and their music is really heavy but I really like the people. So I tried it. I didn't really have the technique down, and so actually Ryan had taken time to teach me how to scream and how to achieve the vocals that I do now. So I owe like all of that to Ryan for sure on how.
Well, I
how
feel like you,
sing
like,
the way I do.
Went gradually into screaming because like I feel like you were doing a lot of singing back then.
Yeah, lots of singing for sure, but screaming was like a whole new beast to harness. And eventually, once I figured it out, I figured
Yeah,
it
and now
out.
you're doing it's almost you do it a lot and it's great.
Were the rest of you? I mean, I know we heard that the drummer is a new addition, but were the rest of you in the band before, like, or has it all been sort of?
It started with Ryan and
Okay.
I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as a two-piece, or did you have other members?
Yeah, it was just the two of us. We had another mutual friend try to drum for us,
Okay.
but he decided it wasn't his cup of tea there. And then I said, "Oh, I have this other buddy, Chris, who drums, and he drummed for us for a couple of years."
Okay.
Yeah.
We go through drummers like Spinal Tap.
I think a lot of bands do. I think it seems to be like a common thing. Is either drummers or bass players. I find a lot. There's a lot of rhythm section for whatever reason. People.
Except you're not allowed to explode. You're gonna run over by a lawnmower or choke on your own vomit. None of it.
Get stuck in a cocoon.
Yeah. Just stay alive, okay? Kind of need you.
So there was Kieran, there was other Dan, there was Chris, and now
That's a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
So over the 5-year period, though, I mean, how far has it progressed from, I guess, kind of what you guys envisioned when you started it to where it is now? Is it kind of gone the way you wanted it to, or has it changed pretty dramatically?
I can't speak for these guys,
Right.
but I think for the last year things have gone considerably well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It took some time, right? Because as we were starting, like the first montage of I don't even know if there was really a name yet, or if you guys had a name, or if you guys were just kind of working under. I'm not too sure, but they had sent me a demo song that I would
YouTube
write
video?
lyrics to. Yeah, it was a YouTube video for voices. It was a demo song for voices,
Okay.
and I would wrote lyrics to it.
okay, I guess as far as like the sound changing goes, I mean, you mentioned the singing versus the screaming. Is that just sort of something that you went through personally, trying to sing for this band, or has the sound changed enough that was kind of more what was wanted by the rest of you guys?
It was a little bit of both. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I always wanted to learn how to do it because I was extremely obsessed with like Chad Gray and OTAP and stuff, and I loved the grungier, heavier vocals, and I loved like the idea of being a woman that could be like raw, like in your face and like melt your face,
which is always the comments we get.
Right? Yeah.
I remember dating this one guy. And after a show, he was like, "You're scary." I'm like, "Yeah."
And we get off stage, we're like, "Hi,
hey, everybody, come on!"
Yeah.
And so a little bit of both, but the music itself, like it's just progressively gotten to where we want it to be. You know, like we had an idea, we had like a notion that we were rolling with, and we knew sort of where we were going with it. But a lot of it came down to really just finding a percussionist that could actually mesh in with, and not just mesh in, but like have creative input. Like Brian has a lot of creative input now. We're writing new music. We've got a lot of new songs on the burner that are waiting to come out for our second album. And like he's got tons of creative input. We love that because before it was more like, here, drum this way. I mean, like we all kind of give each other suggestions still, like that. I think that's a crucial part of being in a band. Like you have to be able to kind of guide each other, right?
You got to meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly,
yeah.
But like it helps too when Brian can pause and be like, hey, Ryan, try this. Hey, Dan, try this. Hey, Holly, you know that thing you did vocally, or like Sam, do this. And it's like it's great because now we're all in this together as a unit, and it's the first time we've had that strength as a unit in 5 years.
Cool.
So it's and now we're just fucking sailing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gone further in the past year than we have in the previous 4.
Yeah. Is that just due to the lineup being more like solidified?
And everyone's like more committed.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at a point too that when I contacted these guys to get involved, like I was sort of at a standstill with other bands too.
Okay.
And it was nice to just get back and to do something, you know, instead of doing nothing.
Were you already familiar with their stuff?
No, I was not. No.
No, but he learned it. Like he showed first band practice, and he just like knew ours. He's like, "Oh, I just listened." Like he's so passive. I just listen to the songs, and then we're like, okay, like he made it sound like we were gonna listen to him and be like, hey, this guy's not gonna fly, right? Like whatever, being super modest over there, and then he plays, and we're like, holy shit! Like,
now we can,
like after we had like this group chat, and we're like, cool. yeah.
Now we can play a show with no practice at all, and it's great.
That's awesome, yeah.
And that's happened a few times.
Yeah.
Because of busy schedules, working night shifts, university, things like that. We have had shows.
Real life happening,
We have had a practice the day of the show, and you wouldn't know.
Well, I think last week's show was... Did we even practice for that? The one at Club St. Pete? Or did we just make up a set list?
I can't remember.
No, we ran through like 2 songs, and then we fucked off and went to the bar.
And it worked out fine.
And we pulled it off.
Yeah, it worked out fine.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's nice having that unification together. So
for sure. That's what you want, right? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
Do you where do you guys place yourself within the local music scene? I hate asking this question because everyone hates answering it, but I mean, obviously there is there's a metal scene, there's sub scenes within that. Yeah. There's a more general rock scene, there's like a hardcore scene, punk scene. There's so many different scenes and sub scenes, and like I hate asking the question because no one likes answering it because no one likes to sort of pigeonhole themselves into anything. But
right,
where do you fit yourselves? Like, is there sort of a subgroup of a larger group
I don't know.
that you?
I feel like there's a group of people, and you see their names around. I think we're part of that group.
Yep.
Yeah.
But how does that group? How do you define it though? Like
it's just there's certain bands to me in the city that are out there and actually doing things, and there's other ones that sort of take their time. You know, they release an album and they might play twice that year. Yeah.
But and then you wait for the next album before they play.
Yeah, but they're really good. Right. You know, but I don't know. Like I think.
Well, maybe who are some of those bands then, just to place you guys kind of on the map, right? Of what we're
500 Pound Furnace.
Okay.
We're associated.
Yeah, I mean, we play with them quite a bit.
And they've been around forever too, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I feel like there's a group of working musicians in the city, and there's a group of musicians that I don't want to say don't work because that just sounds stupid, but
It's up and down too, right?
Yeah.
The music scene is forever fluctuating.
Sure.
People are lots of bands are recording right now. I've tried to contact several different musicians, several different bands throughout the city that rank in different genres, if you want to say that. Like we've got the, if you're saying metal, and then you have the branches off.
Yeah.
I mean, what I found was becoming a bit tricky, and I had seen a huge debate on Facebook about this the other day, and I had to read it, and I was like, I was like, I never give into those things, but I was like, whoa, this is intense. And it was somebody who basically said, like, there are bands out there that will not contact you to play shows if you're not friends with them, which
Right.
I don't necessarily believe to be a huge factor, whatever the case may be, because I do think our metal scene is very welcoming. I do think
Yeah.
it's an extremely embracive scene.
When it's big too, there's a lot of metal
It
bands.
is
there.
huge,
Yeah.
and there's so
Amy
many
Leeson just did that
bands.
one exhibit a few months back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
the video stuff and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was huge. I had the opportunity to be a part of that, and
Cool.
that was really, really great. Really awesome. That was Amy Leeson who put that on, and she's phenomenal. But I'd have to say, yeah, like we play with Last Horizon, and we play with 500 Pound Furnace.
Will Switch Engage.
Will Switch Engage is another band that we've played with as well. I mean, we've played with Black Optic before. Like, there's so many bands that we've played with. I mean, and we've opened up for the Russian, death metal group Arcona before. Like we've done a lot of different shows. Awaiting the Answer.
Right.
Lots
Dark
of
Morning Light.
all over. Like
There's
we've
a
played.
large spectrum.
There is. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can play
Yeah.
with the softer bands. We can play with the heavier bands.
Yeah.
Too.
Right.
It fits.
Right.
all over there's no, I don't think we've ever played a show where it's been like just groove metal bands or like just
Yeah, but I don't
Yeah.
like that either. To me, why would I go to that show?
Right. You see
Go
five of the
watch-
same band,
Yeah.
right? So yeah.
Yeah.
That's the point.
we're very versatile in the different we're very versatile in like the different genres that we can play with and the genres that we can mesh with as
Right.
well. And like I'm very, very proud of our metal scene, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. I wouldn't say that there's necessarily like a ranking, but if there was a genre we fit into,
Yeah.
it would definitely be like the groove metal scene.
Okay.
But the beauty of groove metal is that it again is so versatile.
There's
Groove metal can be
no borders.
it can
Yeah.
be proggy, it can be
Right.
more death metal, it can be technical, it can be bluesy, it can be like super a little more hardcore punk. Like we've got elements of all kinds in our music.
Okay.
Lots of different musical influences too.
Oh yeah.
So we're bringing tons of various musical influences to the table. So yeah.
Well, that's good. Also, I mean, just because of how diverse the scene is in general, too, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, like you're saying. I mean, that it sucks when you go to a show and everyone sounds exactly the same. 'Cause
Exactly.
You're not, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are sorry guys, you're not old. You're older than me, and they played in the scene, 20 years back in big bands and stuff. Like fellas who used to be in bands like Wazuka and like the Pretty Train Crash and stuff like back in those days. And I know I had remembered one of them had said that he remembers a time when you could play a show and have it be just a mosaic of music because it wasn't about what genres you were playing, it was just about unifying the scene, and that is something that we are really trying to bring back as well. Like we've played shows with all kinds of bands, all kinds.
That's something that's interesting. I actually have just kind of asked different bands about that kind of thing in the past because I think I fit into the same age category as maybe a lot of people. And no, it's okay, it's fine. Since I had kids and stuff, I don't go to shows nearly as much as I used to because just I can't. But when I was like a teenager and stuff, the shows were like you'd have like a metal band with a ska band with a folk singer with like a rapper or whatever, and it was the best because you could hear so much cool stuff. And then it seemed like for a while. And again, I wasn't going to as many shows, so maybe it wasn't the case. But it seemed like it was definitely segregating itself a little bit. Where even if it's different types of metal, you still have a metal show or a punk show, and your punk show has like a skate punk band and a hardcore band. But it's still a punk show, and you don't have anything different. So is that like? Do you see that changing a little bit?
I would say so. Yeah. Like I remember going to see Comeback Kid in some dude's basement.
Yeah.
And that was like some of the best times of my life. Like I was 11 and I was scared.
You were 11.
Yeah.
I
was
scared
young.
for your life.
Yeah. It was terrible in that sense, but that stuff was so cool.
Yeah.
And it's seems like there's this cycle that's coming around again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of bands that a lot of people look up to, and they're, like Haldy says, they're getting older.
Yeah.
You know, and there's this sort of, I hate using the term new wave, but there's sort of a new wave coming.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's cool. It's refreshing.
Well, it's hard to keep up almost, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
just like,
There's so much, and especially in our age range, like between like early 20s to like mid 30s,
Yeah.
like in that age range, the amount of and not okay. Again, I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth. I mean, there's people obviously who are older than that who are bitchin' musicians.
Sure,
Like, I know
sure.
folks who are ridiculously like they're amazing. But I mean, like in that age range, there's so many bands.
Yeah.
There's so many. Like it's crazy. I remember like giving people local band suggestions and making like a huge list of
Absolutely.
bands and various all over the place, like bands like anywhere from like, you know, you got Jamie Buckborough, and then you got Tusk, and then you got Verdant Serenity and Madeira.
Tusk is great,
Like
though.
all these
Great
like,
band.
oh, I love Tusk. Tusk Boys.
Yeah, Tusk
Love
awesome.
Tusk
Yeah,
Boys.
yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, they're great. We played with them
At the
in
Park
Canada.
Theatre.
Yeah, we did. Was it the Park Theatre? No, it wasn't.
I swear it was the Park Theater.
Yeah. Anyway,
Park Theatre,
love you,
yeah.
Tusk Boys.
See?
Yeah.
So, and Dashiko and like bands like
Right,
that.
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
we
yeah.
had the
That was the
opportunity
Cavern.
to play with them. Easy
Dashiko
Tones.
is one band I think is wicked.
Yeah, it's cool,
They're
man, for sure.
Especially for a
amazing.
three-piece. For
Yeah.
a three-piece,
Yeah.
they make a lot of noise.
Yeah, it's cool.
Chelsea's she's a monster. Just love it. She's in the best way. And then we got the opportunity to play with like the Hazy Tones
Yeah, I was about to
from
bring that up.
Montreal as
Cool.
well, and they're like a Alice in Chains,
Yeah, yeah.
stoner, like
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
they're
Amazing three-piece.
great.
Electric Wizard
Great.
style.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
A three-piece, too.
yeah.
That's cool.
Super neat.
That's cool.
So, all over the board, and we love to see it growing, but we would also love to see it flourish and continue to flourish in a unifying tree.
Right.
So it's
I always find the metal scene sort of does that on its own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like not even here, just in general.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a metal show, people are together. They're not.
Yeah.
You know, you're not judging.
And you see the same people every time, right?
Yeah.
Some of them, it's like you
and
get to know them.
and it's
Yeah.
cool. You know, I think that's really cool.
Watching your pandemonium, where your demons roam free, to wander aimlessly for peace, and they're coming after me. Trapped in pandemonium. I'm not afraid. Say it to your face. Your pain like disgrace. The words in your palm, your pain.
But it almost seems like the more Winnipeg grows, the more kind of you realize there are other little scenes happening in other neighborhoods you don't even know about. Like, I mean, it's like all of a sudden, you know, I don't know, Transcona or something, there's like all of a sudden this crazy scene of bands that have never left Transcona, and all of a sudden they emerge, and it's like, holy shit, where did you guys come from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, for sure. You see all sorts of bands from all over the place, or these bands where all of a sudden you find out they've been together for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, where have you been this whole time?
Yeah,
like,
you're great. What happened?
Like,
Yeah.
thanks for waiting all this time, you fuckers.
For sure, yeah. Well, like, I've been doing this for 5 years, the show, and I've done 260 some episodes, and still the amount of local bands I haven't talked to, it's crazy. Like, you think by that point I would have got most people, but there's so many.
There's
It's
so many.
crazy. Yeah.
And I'm not someone that's super on the scene. I don't really enjoy it in that sense so much. I don't enjoy small talk, I suppose, right? So I keep myself distanced in a way, but Holly's super on the scene.
Yeah.
She keeps me informed.
So you got like an inside track.
Exactly. That's sort of the way we do it, I think.
Cool. I feel like we're all pretty busy.
Yeah.
Release the hound.
Go schmooze. Go schmooze.
Take notes,
Yeah.
Put in a good word for us.
Goodness.
So I've, from what I was able to find online anyway, you guys have some stuff recorded and a lot of live videos, but is it just the one album you have so far?
So far, yeah.
Yeah, it's the one EP and I'm not on it.
Okay. How old is that one then? When did that actually come out?
2014.
Okay.
That one's
3 or 4
nearing
years ago
some.
now.
Yeah, it's been a bit, because we did, like, again, we were in the process of, like, our last drummer, and awesome
Yeah,
drummer.
he's wicked. He's insane.
Awesome. But he's just busy, he's in a lot of bands, he very
Fire.
busy career, like, he just didn't have the time to dedicate, to us, but he tried to do it as much as he could and stay on as long as he could until it became a situation where we're like, hey man, like, we love you, but we need to continue this. Like, we kind of want to spread our wings, and we're kind of being held back a little bit. And he understood, and we then went through a period of time where we didn't have a drummer, and we didn't really know what to do, and we really weren't prepared. We didn't really plan that out very well. We should have probably had like a couple auditions, and then had that discussion kind of thing. So then there was like a year where we barely played shows, where we barely jammed. It was like we kind of just threw some ideas back and forth, and really, one of the best things that kind of came in that is that we had the opportunity to just get to know each other more and more and more through that time, and just grow much closer as friends and as bandmates, and then to be able to, like, we were listening to the podcast that Dome had done for the Club St. B show, which was super great. And one of the things that melted me was, awesome, by the way. Dome is great if you ever have the opportunity to hang out with those
another
guys.
one I haven't had on here.
Dome.
Played with them last week.
They're awesome. Yeah, totally. But those guys, like, something that they had said was like, Quoth the Sun, they're like a band. And my heart just melted. They're like, they're not like just musicians, but they're like a band. There's like a sister and a brother. And it's very true, because that's we hang out together. We party together.
We don't even talk about the band.
Yeah, we're
What band?
Yeah, we're best friends that have the opportunity to write and play music together. And that's a beautiful blessing to have. So
how do those songs hold up now? I mean, it's been 3-4 years later. Is it still fairly indicative of what the sound is, or has it changed?
We get a lot of comments that you guys are nothing like what you sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's changed, I guess, then, since...
Tighter,
Yeah.
louder, definitely...
I play them differently.
Yeah.
Right,
The
okay.
way they're
Drums
recorded
differently,
now.
too.
Yeah.
I try to keep an homage, but do it my own way.
Yeah.
Which comes across live a lot more energetic, I want to say.
Okay.
Which is kind of like where I put my emphasis when I come up with the music.
We've come up with new ideas because again it was an EP, right? So
Right.
it was more like an EP, like demo-ish album, right? And then we I mean, we come up with new ideas, new. There's like new solo bits. I feel that like Sam will try and experiment with different like bass rhythms and stuff too, and different things like that. My vocals, personally, I feel have taken a step. It was like one day at practice, all of a sudden, I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
The light bulb kind
That's-
of... Yeah.
okay. I'll never forget that. I think it was back in Edgeline. And I remember you turned around and you were like, oh, and I'm like, I know what the fuck. Yeah. So we've progressed and we've changed things to a degree that has just made things more more serious.
Right.
Like it's not just like us trying to just create music. We're now finalizing it. We're coming into the scene with a punch.
You're now a band,
So
as you
it's
mentioned.
exactly
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and then writing new music too. Like we've got some killers up our sleeve. Like we just debuted. We just released like our first new song that'll be on the next album.
Okay.
And that one we've had like some amazing like reaction to
Cool,
for
cool.
sure. It's a deadly song. So, and it just goes to show too that like Brian has been able to learn all of our older stuff and bring a new punch to it and make it so much more crisp and clear. But when we write as a unit, as a new unit, it is amazing what we're doing. So I'm really excited to be able to debut the
Cool.
stuff that we've been doing.
Cool. Do you have something, do you have a new record already recorded, or is it sort of in the
No,
works?
It's in
that's
the
something
works.
that we're going to be working on
Yeah.
this spring.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so our year's done. I guess
Pretty much.
as far as we know right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Opportunities arise.
Around
We
Christmas
take them,
break.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So we're hoping to have something wicked together by May,
Go into hibernation
and
pretty
that'll
soon.
be good.
Yeah.
Cool.
We've got some tour plans too. We've got some friends out in Alberta who are booking some shows and stuff for us. We're hoping to do like
Right on.
Saskatchewan, Regina kind of
Little like
tour.
1 week thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of all like
Lots of metal bands in Saskatchewan, too, for some reason.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why, but this
it's
time.
Nothing else to do,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
It's amazing though. Like and
Some really good
we've got
ones,
some
too.
Pretty good venues
Yeah.
and stuff out there. Like the scene's pretty booming, especially out in like Edmonton and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty beautiful. So yeah, like definitely just working toward better things. It's going to be it'll be a busy year for all of us for many reasons. So
Cool.
yeah, it'll be good.
Don't be forsaken. There lives the one losing your voice. Don't be forsaken.
We're hoping to have it wrapped up by May.
Okay.
May, hopefully no later than late May. We'll probably start in.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll
We'll see kind of like where it lines up, right? Because there's now, because we've been playing a lot of shows, and then we just did the Pantera tribute show there. We did the charity event this past Friday, so we've been prepping for a lot of stuff and like getting a lot of things ongoing, and now all of a sudden it's like, okay, now all that's done.
Right, now
it's
on,
the next chapter of like, let's get all the new stuff finalized and let's start, let's get into the studio. And the last record we did was actually recorded in our old drummer's basement, and he's got an awesome studio, but it's still not like it's
it's a basement,
mid-ocean or whatever, right? Like it's not that. So we're going to be looking into actual getting into an actual.
Putting some money into it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's exciting, I guess.
Capture everything like super.
Yeah.
Immensely.
Have you guys done any touring in the past, or is this like a?
No, we haven't. We've kind of gone around Winnipeg a little bit, and played different venues and many venues several times and stuff as well. But like this will kind of be it is again like starting from scratch. So this next year will be our year to really punch everybody in the face with what we can do. With love.
Punch with love, yeah.
I've traveled with other bands, but not to the extent or the exact planning. I guess that's what we're hoping to put into this. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So, I mean, it's obviously. I guess that's the way you find out how well the music goes over too outside of your own community. I mean, again, I know
and how well you get along in one band.
That also, yes, for sure. But I mean, I know obviously, we talk about the scene being kind of big and diverse and everything like that. But I mean, you've been around for 5 years. A lot of people in Winnipeg have seen you play, presumably a number of times, right? So this is kind of opening it up to a totally new audience. So as you find out how you go over, sort of in the new.
And we've had some really great experiences with different bands that have come through Winnipeg, and we've had some really great and built some really awesome relationships with some different promoters throughout the city too. And like and when we talk about a scene, and like where we rank in the scene kind of thing, when we talk about like the different bands, and we've kind of like, it's not, in a way we've kind of recruited and made our own scene in a sense, because like we've got so many bands that we've played with that we.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. There's certain people that you see, and there's certain people that you don't.
Right.
And I think we're the people you see.
Yeah.
If I could classify.
Yeah, and we've made kind of like our own groovy heavy metal family, our own scene, and it's growing, and we're constantly pushing it to the next level and constantly trying new things and just seeing what happens. So so far it's been really great, and it's been so good to be like consistently busy too.
Cool.
Yeah, that's been really good. So.
Are any of you in other bands as well?
Yeah, I play in another band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one though.
Just one.
Yeah, we're only borrowing them out to the one band.
Oh yeah.
So, they signed a waiver.
Yeah, they get him on every second
part time.
We're working through it.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason I ask is because it seems like from what you've all been saying is that you're taking it much more kind of the extra step of professionalism and of like seriousness, just as a band, right? Mm-hmm. Versus then just a fun thing you're doing, sort of. Mm-hmm. So often when people are in 10 bands, it kind of makes it hard to juggle that, right? So this is the focus for all of you. Like this is the
yes, and
I think so.
I think it depends too on the person too, right? Like some people like need various outlets.
Oh yeah,
they need lots of different things to do and whatnot, and some folks, they have the time for that as well. Whereas with us, we just we're just committed to trying to make this be the beast that we know it can be, and I think that's also insane when people are in like a million bands.
It is. It's crazy. I don't know.
Also, the band that Brian's into is called they're called Ash and the Arsonists as well.
Okay.
So that's the other band that he's in, and they're super great, super
cool.
I've
heard the name before for sure.
Hard rock and super groovy guys and gal.
Mm-hmm.
So super great. So.
Cool. If people are hearing you for the first time on here, what's the best thing for them to do if they want to hear more? Like, where should they go online? Where should they find some new music?
Just search the name.
I guess it's probably the only thing that will show up.
There's so much random crap out there. Just look it up.
YouTube for sure.
Right, which is where I found most.
And And I totally forgot to get you an album. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll get you an album
Sounds good.
next time.
Sounds
I meant
good.
to ask you to bring one, and that's my bad. I should probably have communicated that better.
And definitely check out the Facebook.
Yeah,
Right, right.
We have a
Yeah, it's
Facebook
kind of
page, we have
our
an
main
Instagram
social
page.
media.
We also have, and then YouTube, where you can find our EP and,
Yeah.
and a lot of live videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, so a bunch of
too.
those
So
too, for sure.
We definitely need to get ourselves like on Bandcamp for sure. I think that would be definitely super beneficial for us.
There's
to
a
be
lot of
part that.
outlets.
Yeah, there's loads now. Yeah,
Tons,
yeah.
yeah.
And is the physical album, is that available just at shows, or do you have it at any local stores?
Yeah,
or
we usually
anything,
carry it with us.
Yeah, yeah. And you can contact us if you ever want it.
Yeah.
We're going to throw it at Sunrise in the
Oh,
near
nice.
future,
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
along with the new one.
Yeah, and we've got like, and we'll deliver and stuff. We're super easygoing and really down to earth, and we'll make stuff.
We don't bite.
So yeah, yeah.
Well, you're sitting there cuddling a cat, so I would assume that you.
Yeah, the dog stopped making noise after I moved the food dish, and the cat just made himself at home. That's the benefits of, I guess, doing this in somebody's house.
Yeah, exactly. You get pets wandering around and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my babies just want to cuddle. Yeah.
So the YouTube would be the main one, though, at this
Yes,
point. Like,
yeah,
you should check that
YouTube
out.
would
Yeah.
be the main one. Yeah,
Cool.
that would
Or
be
come
the
to a
main
show.
one.
Or come to right.
Yeah, or that too. Like, and we don't have anything booked yet. But if you keep posted on our Facebook page and stuff, we're always posting our next events and
Okay.
whatnot.
Play semi-regularly, I guess.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
Lately it's been
Yeah,
like once or
regular
twice a month.
basis.
yeah. It
A
has
couple times
been
a week,
lately.
we always throw something up.
Yeah, it has been lately, like once to twice a month. November we took some time off because we've got our badass university students here that were very busy kicking butt, writing their midterms and stuff, and working full time on top of that
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we've got mega Olympic rock stars in our band. Just saying.
Cool. Well, okay. People should check out that Facebook. I guess. I mean, depending when
Yeah.
they hear this, right? The good thing about a podcast is you can pretty much hear it whenever. So
Right. Yeah.
if someone hears this 3 years from now, if you're still around, they can check out the Facebook
Yeah,
and go
exactly.
through it. Right. So.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more episodes of this show, you can go to witchpolice.com, click on podcast. It'll be at this point 260 some episodes. They're all there for free download and streaming. You can just dig through the archives. You can find you on the Fawn Chopper episode
Yeah.
and whatever other related shows you want to hear. You can also tune into UMFM on Sundays at midnight. And those are older episodes that kind of get a second win. So, this won't be aired for a few months, but it's still kind of a cool way to give each episode a second chance to be heard. And yeah, I mean, that's you guys don't have anything coming up right now, but hopefully by the time someone hears this, they can check the page.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
So yeah, by the time someone hears it, the album should be out. And
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
they can go pick that up
Exactly.
at one of the various places it'll be available.
And it's gonna be amazing, and you're gonna want to just rock your socks off.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking
It's gonna be
good.
super good. We're Quoth the Sun 2.0, new and ready to take on the world. So yeah.
Awesome. That's a good way to close it off, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
you
you,
bet.
Sam.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
target.